Hey, this is Steve Keys here with Keller Williams Capital District. I am here in one of my listings in Cambridge. We are here for a new video series. I believe this is a series that I'm going to call Things That Make You Go, Ah! I'm still toying with the name, so that might change. Things that might make you go, Ugh! I don't know. A lot of different things that I could go with that. So, a lot of you know that I have a background in construction, so when I am walking through houses, either with buyers or with sellers, every now and then I see things that are just a little off. And maybe I don't necessarily know why, but I can kind of have an idea how something was supposed to be done, and I can tell that maybe it wasn't done the right way. So, I am here in this house. We are going to replace this floor. Now, the first time that I walked into this, I'm in the master bedroom here. When I walked into this floor and I walked on it, it felt a little funny to me. It feels spongy. Now, this is one of those laminate floors, those interlocking laminate floors that I always say that I hate in my walkthrough videos. This is one of the cheaper versions of the floor. So this floor is basically made out of ground up and pressed back together cardboard. So low level stuff. When you can, as you look in this, you can see some of the shadows from the light from the door hitting it, and you can see that the edges are starting to pop up. That is probably from mopping the floor. Honestly, just mopping the floor. The sponginess I kind of thought was extra water damage. So you could see the water damage with the edges popping up. Could just be from humidity also. Like I said, low grade floor. These do not handle water at all. The higher grade floors are made out of plastic and most of the time have cork on the back. So they can handle water, they still interlock together, they still aren't as indestructible as they claim, and the manufacturer still doesn't install the warranty because no matter who installs it, they will just say it was installed wrong. So I still don't like the floors. However, those waterproof ones do have some applications in places where water is going to be an issue, preferably a basement, because lots of other floors would be very difficult in a basement. You're really either stuck with this or a carpet, and you got to get a special waterproof carpet, because if it takes water, you want to make sure that it dries properly, it doesn't stain, and you don't get a mold issue. So, yeah, but anyway, back to this. So I thought it was water damage, which is why the floor was all spongy. But I installed this little column thing here. It was just a stud and the electrical wire was dangling. They were doing some minor renovations to the home and things just didn't get finished. This was one of them. So it would have caused a financing issue, so I fixed it. But I had to cut the floor at the bottom there to get the stud all the way down to the floor, and I discovered why the floor is so spongy. So we're going to go over to the door here, where I have access to the floor and where I've already ripped it up. So, right here at the door, I take this floor off. You can see the pad underneath it. Now this is a pad for a floating floor. Floating floor means the floor is not attached. So typically they put a pad underneath it so that when the floor expands and contracts, it slides across the subfloor. Lots of floors have some kind of pad or something underneath it. Even hardwood floors have like a thin layer of paper, even though that's not a floating floor. They're nailed all over the place. But you still have some expanding and contraction. So they say to put some kind of pad underneath it. This is the pad made for a floating floor. Now there's lots of different types of pads. Some of them are more expensive, some are not. This is a very cheap pad. Now I've heard a lot of debate on pads. Some people say, well, the better pad is a better floor. Some people say, no, just get the cheapest pad possible. Heck, even use the paper. You're just trying to create a barrier to the subfloor for it to float on. But the more pad you put on there, it's going to cause a problem. And I've heard other ones say don't put any kind of pad under there at all. The floor will slide just fine. Don't worry about it. And I think some of the higher end ones are even designed to go without the pad because, like I said, they're meant for applications of a water kind of situation. But even those, I still put a water barrier underneath it, so you still do technically have something in between the floor and the concrete. So this is the pad that's meant under the floor, but this is not what's causing the problem. That's causing the problem. This is carpet pad. This is not supposed to be under a subfloor. You can see this, that's like almost half an inch thick, 3/8 of an inch thick at least. This is too much pad for underneath a floating floor, and that is why the floor feels spongy. Now when the floor is allowed to flex that much, these seals, the seams at the wood, they don't seal right and they break. When you walk on them, they pop up. That's probably another problem that allowed mopping the floor, allowed the water to come in and peel up the edges. So this is too much pad for under a floor. This is probably a DIY job, which I'm not against. I'm all for people doing their own stuff. I encourage it, really. But watch a YouTube video. Really, YouTube's great. It's got a lot of great stuff on there. There's this real estate guy that does walkthroughs. They're fantastic. You should check them out. But yeah, watch a YouTube video on how to properly install the floor. By all means, do your own stuff. But this is too much pad. You can't have. I'm of the camp that you should have no pad or very little pad underneath the floor, because the more the pad has, you're going to get bounce in it. That's going to cause problems at the seams, and that's why the floor is so spongy. So that has been the first episode of things that make you go, ah! Bye-bye for now.